So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Agency Navigator. In today's module, we're going to be talking about the Code of Honor. Now, I'm a Capricorn, right? And as a Capricorn, it's funny, I never really believed in astrology. I never really believed in these star signs until a couple years ago when it's just in most instances, star signs seem to be correct. And I am most certainly your typical Capricorn. So maybe it's just because I'm a Capricorn, but I just love cultures that have strong codes of honor, right? And that's really why I called this module the Code of Honor, because I'm going to go through 6 codes right here, right? 6 things that you should live and die by as an agency owner. And the thing is, there will always be noise around you as a business owner, as an agency owner, as a human, right? And there will always be things kind of distracting you and pulling you in different directions. And if you don't have a compass, right? And another great book, that kind of dives into this is Principles by Ray Dalio. If you don't have your own set of principles, then you will fall victim to this noise, to this distraction, to these temptations. And that is why I think having a code of honor is so, so important. And that's what I want to share with you guys in today's module. Let's get into it. Code of Honor. Now, in today's teaching, we are going to go over the principles that will define you through this journey. Principle 1, Principle 2, Principle 3, 4, 5, and 6. So let's get into it. Now, the first one is progress, not perfection. You see, every small win should be taken in and celebrated. Now, a win doesn't necessarily need to be you hit your first $10,000 a month, you hit your first $20,000 a month. A win can simply be that you did 20 cold calls that day, or maybe you sent 6 cold looms, whatever your target is for your outreach. Or, maybe a small win that day could just be the fact that your client messaged you and went, hey, just a heads up, guys, our lead flow is up from this much to this much, or the sales in our store, and maybe they threw up a Shopify screenshot, are up from this to this. All of these are just small little wins that really define you as a agency owner. And each of these wins should be celebrated. And I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that beginners and actually even more so intermediates make, is they don't celebrate these wins because they almost feel like a little dirty they're like, oh, why would I celebrate something so small? They think that everyone needs to have a Michael Jordan mentality when they first start of like, I did this thing and now the next day I don't even think about any of the wins I have, and I move on to the next big Herculean task. And when you're really advanced in the world of business or any medium or any art form in life, then for sure you can take on that approach. But when you're first starting, you are fragile, okay? So you need to build up that winner effect, and you need to stack these wins, and most importantly, celebrate these wins, and it builds this beautiful flywheel. The next thing is you need to never judge yourself on the result. And I know that might seem a little strange to you, but here's the thing. A lot of times, actually most of the time, the result really isn't in your hands. The only thing that's in your hand is the action that dictates the result. But also, the thing you really need to get through your head is that in this life, most of the time it's 1/3 is the amount of work you put in, right? So your actual work. 1/3 is the direction, right? Because you could be working really hard, but in the wrong direction. So it's really your direction and your strategy. And the other third is luck, right? And luck, I think that's really what most people discount, is luck/timing. And you really need to have your direction and work ethic marry up with luck and timing, okay? And unfortunately, that's not that's not in your control. So that's why the result is never fully in your control. You can only dictate it to the best of your ability. So for that reason, never judge yourself on the result, because also, and this is really important for you to understand, for 6 months, you could look like excuse my French. You guys know me. You guys know that there are probably a decent amount of swearing in this program, but you could look like a fucking dickhead for 6 months. You could look like an idiot, okay? You could not sign clients for 6 months or even 12 months. And then in the space of 1 month, you sign 3 clients. And that's why I'm telling you, never judge yourself on the result, because the result could be right around the corner. Instead, always judge yourself on the action, because that is your best bet at dictating the result. And the last thing that you really need to understand is you'll never feel ready, okay? So I never want you to come in and think that you need the perfect website, even though we give you whatever, I think it's 16 or 20 templates. It's obnoxious how many we give you. Or think that you need to, you need to have done your niche research perfectly, right? Because you're never going to feel ready. I have something to admit to you. I procrastinated, I shit you not, maybe 2 months on recording this. I did the slides and the making of Agency Navigator end to end is probably, I mean, let's not even take into consideration the platform, because that you can tack on another year onto that. But the actual program itself, 9 to 12 months. I procrastinated for 2 months recording it. It's not that I was not doing any work or this or that, but I was just adding more stuff to the slides or adding this thing or, trying to get it perfect. And the reason that is I'm going to be honest with you, I was scared, right? I was scared of what would happen, if I recorded it. I was scared that I wasn't going to give it my best. But, you just got to put one foot forward in front of the other. And that's the same thing. You're scared that you're going to go out there and you're not going to perform your best, but don't judge yourself on the day one. Okay, keep chipping away at it. And as I said, the only thing that you can really judge yourself is on the action, not the result. And when you know that, it makes doing it a lot easier, because you're like, hey, let's not focus on the result. Let's focus on the action. Okay, progress, not perfection, as I said. That's really what you need to focus on. Now, the next thing is it's probably a personal problem. Now, down below, you can find a couple different wallpapers. This is one of them. You don't have a business problem. You have a personal problem manifesting in your business. As I said, this will be available for download as a wallpaper down below. Now, for any of you guys who were in the old version of this program, Agency Incubator, a lot of these codes of honor are very familiar to you. I did a very similar, I swapped in a few and changed a couple around. But the reason is because these statements are so timeless. And, I see it time and time again, even when I'm talking to people in the higher level program, CPA. And, they're at 50K a month and trying to get to 100K a month, and they think it's a business problem, right? And they don't realize that most of the time it's a personal problem. Like, they think it's a problem with their team. And then, I have to then point out to them, hey, why is your team acting like this? Or why do you not have a team of A players? Have you noticed this thing about yourself? Like, before you look externally, look at yourself in the mirror. And whenever you're stuck in business, usually the best place to look at, to solve your issue is yourself. Usually you just have a personal problem. Because the other thing that I'll tell you is when when you're in a good place, when all areas of your life are dialed in, the solution comes to you. And that's, as I said, why, tactics are so fleeting, right? That's why we focus on these timeless principles. And that's why I create these programs in a very timeless manner. Because as I said, 9 times out of 10, you have a personal problem, not a business problem. And it's simply just a personal problem manifesting itself in your business. It's kind of, it's tricky like that. It fools you slightly into thinking that, oh, I just have this issue in the business. And if I, figure out this tactic or this trick, then, my problem will be solved. And it's not really the way that it goes. So remember, if you're struggling 90% of the time, you don't have a business problem, you have a personal problem manifesting in your business. The next thing is the client needs you more than you need them. And you might not understand this yet, but it's true. And even if they don't consciously know it. Because here's the thing, if they don't sign with you, very easy. You just go, you sign another client, you help one of their competitors. Because at the end of the day, you're the one with the understanding of the business model, and you're the one that knows how to turn their business around. And the other thing that we fixate so heavily on in here is not just how to look at their business from an advertiser's perspective or a SEO agency perspective or a creative agency's perspective. Really, I'm sure what you're gathering from this program, what you'll gather in the next, however many it is, 7, 8 phases, is the fact that we look holistically at their business. And not only are we agencies, but we're also consultants. We're trusted advisors, right? And when you have that sort of intimate knowledge with a client's business, you are such a valuable asset that they can never get rid of. And look, I'm really not trying to gas you up here, but you coming through this program automatically puts you in the top 5% of agencies out there. Because the other 95% of agencies is made up by cheesy full service agencies with a cookie cutter outreach approach, no differentiation, a disgusting onboarding protocol. They're trying to serve everyone and really not be specialized with any single niche. They don't know the pain points, what a day in the life of a business owner in that industry really even looks like. They have no empathy for it. They don't understand it. And just in general, they suck. Most agencies just suck. I'm just being honest with you. I know this industry better than anyone else on earth. So when you go through this program, look, you're automatically in the top 5% of the agencies in the world. And you're just going to get better month on month on month. So when I say that the client needs you more than you need them, you really need to remember that. And look, part of my job here and part of my role, especially in phase 1 and phase 2, is really just to be your best friend. And honestly, I'm honored the fact that you trust me in guiding you in this process. Like, I genuinely mean that. Like, it is an immense, immense honor to me. And I'll, throughout this process, I'm going to be very harsh with you, and I'm also going to be gentle with you. And it's, it's my place to know when to push those two levers, really. And when I say this, you might be going, man, like, I love it. You're instilling me an abundance mindset, but like, the practicality of it is it's not really true. And I can tell you for a fact, seriously, like, there's so many clients out there, but there's not many agencies like us. There's not many agencies that run the way that we do. And there's not many agencies that conduct themselves the way that we do, that, most agencies will make excuses that we would never dare make. And as I said, all in all, the experience of working with someone like us is vastly, vastly different to the rest of the market out there. So when I say that really the client needs you more than you need them, that's really just to say that if they pass up on the opportunity of working with you, there's really honestly not many agencies out there in their specific niche that could help them the way that we could. Whereas for you, there are 101 other clients that you could reach out to. So remember, the client needs you more than you need them, because really they're just going to continue to struggle and stagnate because they were just too dead set in their ways, and they're just going to watch all of their competition fly by. Or quite frankly, they might get lured in by some other agency owner that's gone through some knuckleheads program where, basically the crux of the teaching is charge $5,000 a month and run their ads, and that's it. And they haven't gone through the level of detail or a program that has a principle first approach like this. So as I said, just feel at ease knowing that not only do you have the best education available anywhere in the world for agency owners, also quite frankly, and I'm sure you've noticed this already, the community of great agency, we just attract a certain specific person, because I'm sure most people know I'm very divisive. I speak my mind. I speak out on things that I don't think are right. I'm very cancelable. And as I said, if I see things that I think are unethical, I call them out. And there's also things that many other people will be far too scared to talk about that I talk about very openly and honestly. So I think the sort of person that is attracted to great agency isn't here because they're trying to make a quick buck. And as I said, you'll really start to notice that in the community that, man, there's just so many interesting, cool people. So we're all here to help you. We're all part of your network now. And as I said, me personally, I'm your mentor for the foreseeable future. And I take on that responsibility with great weight. Next up is become T-shaped. Now, I-shaped means you're an expert at one thing. A generalist is capable in a lot of things, but not really an expert in any. Then there's T-shaped. Now, this is capable in a lot of things and an expert in one of them. Now, the two most important skills you need to learn and refine are your lead generation and sales skills. Really, I'd say that's to begin with. Later down the line, it's really more lead generation and hiring/company culture skills. That's really what makes an agency long-term. Now, this is the long end of the T, and nothing else will drive your business forward as much as those two skills. Now, when it comes to service delivery, you can't have a successful agency unless you have A1 service delivery. So this should be another area where you're extremely diligent. But the thing is about service delivery is that you can outsource it, right? Now, that said, whether you decide to deliver the services yourself using the 45 or 50 modules that we have on service delivery inside of Agency Navigator, or you outsource it, you should still have a strong understanding of how to get your clients results. Then we have the short end of the T. Now, these are other areas you should learn and still have a good understanding of, and these should include copywriting, tax structure and efficiency, accounting, mindset, managing a team, and your specific niche knowledge. And as I said, these are things you should all be competent in, which is why I include every single one of those inside this program. The next code of honor is it's an honor, not a job. A job is a place you go to punch in and punch out the minute that your time is over. And this is not a job. I've been very blessed to have never worked a traditional job before, which is why, a few years ago, when I really started to grasp and really started to understand that most people who have spent anywhere from $20,000 up to $200,000 on marketing degrees leave college and are getting paid $8 to $10 an hour, excluding tax, right? They have to pay tax on that as well. And even worse, they're commuting 45 minutes to work, 45 minutes back. And after everything is all said and done, they basically have no money to live off of. Sometimes I think we truly forget to be grateful for the opportunity we have in front of ourselves because, you sign 2 to 4 clients and you're making more, if not double, what most people working traditional marketing jobs make, but you get to, especially if you're managing 2 to 4 clients, you're probably working 1/4 the amount of time that someone else will be working. And you're making as much, probably even double. You get to set your own schedule. And I think that's the biggest thing, like just being your own boss. You go to gym when you want to go to gym. You hang out with friends whenever you want to hang out. You have real financial freedom, time freedom, and also location freedom. You don't need to ask your boss, hey, is it fine if I go visit some old friends in this country on these specific days? Just pack your bags and go. So take pride in the work you do for your clients and never, ever dare take this for granted. Okay, whenever I'm tired, and look, I have moments where I'm tired and I'm like, this is kind of crappy, or, even moments where, I'm human. We have clients leave at the agency too. And, I'm like, oh, this sucks. And usually I find that, things always come in clumps. Your W's, your wins, and your losses always come in clumps, so you'll have like 3-4 wins in kind of succession, and then you'll have 3-4 losses in succession. So even for me, when, I've had kind of a streak of losses at the agency and things aren't going well, I always have to remind myself the opportunity that I have and the fact that it's an honor, not a job, right? I don't have to do this. You don't have to do this. We don't have to do anything that we do. We're doing it out of our own accord, so we really need to take pride in the work. And there's an amazing documentary out there. It's called Jiro Dreams of Sushi. I'll actually get Tristan to put in a little clip from it.
いいネタを入れていい仕事をするのが職人で、あと儲かろうが儲からないがあんまりそれは気にしない。で自分たちでも例えばお寿司を作ってやってる。だけどまだあるんだろうまだあるんだろうって上を見るわけでしょ。ということはまだ上に何かがあるっていうこと。そこまで頂上まで行けば完璧かも分かんないけど、じゃあこの頂上はどこかっていうと分かんないわけですよ。今仕事しててこの年になって完璧だとは思っていないからね。気分いいですよ。一日中ほんわかほんわかで握ってられるし、職人根性でしょうねこれは。それをやめる？それ自分が一生懸命でやってる時をやめる？水商売が嫌だななんて思ったこと一回もないです。ただこれをもう惚れて一生懸命でこれをやって少しでも上っていうふうに考えて現在まで来ています。だから今85になってもさあ今やめようかという気はあまりありません。そういうことです。
Now, this really is not an exciting documentary, right? It's very slow paced, but it's one of my favorites because I just have so much respect for the Japanese culture, and I have so much respect for someone that takes so much pride in something that other people would consider menial. And that's really what I want from you. I want you to take pride in your work. And then whenever it gets tough, whenever it gets hard, just always remember, it's an honor, not a job. So that wallpaper is available down below. Now, the next and final code of honor is that you're one client away. Now, I really wanted to leave this code of honor with you as the last one because you always need to have it ingrained in your mind. Name what you want. You're one client away. Quit your job. You could be one client away. That dream car. You could be one client away. That dream watch. You could be one client away. Taking your girlfriend or your boyfriend on a trip. You could be one client away. Because here's the thing, when you sign a client and you service them well, let's say it's a moderately sized client, $2,000 a month. And, if you have even half decent retention, you manage to keep them on for 5 or 6 months, that's $10,000 to $12,000 right there. That's pretty good money from one single client. So you always need to have this mentality of one client away. And, let's say some of your bigger aspirations, maybe, it's retiring, your mom or your dad. You may not be one client away in terms of, practically, like literally one client away. And that's fine. But you have this, if you maintain this one client away mentality, then that one client will lead to the next client, they'll lead to the next client, and you'll always know, hey, I'm just one client away from getting to that goal of, as I said, maybe buying your dream house, maybe retiring your parents, maybe you have a super, super fancy car that you want to get, right? You know, there'll be times when it gets really dark, when it's been 48 days since you signed, you know, maybe you were on a roll of signing clients and it's been 48 days since you signed your last client, and things get really, really dark. But you need to understand that that's usually when you're about to get the holy touch of momentum, right? Because as I mentioned, you know, just a second ago, things never really come in ones. I've noticed that wins and losses kind of come in clumps, right? So when things haven't been going your way, usually that is, you know, really that's the tension from the bow and arrow getting pulled back. And when it's released, that's usually when you get all of those W's following. So keeping that one client away mentality and really just keeping all of the codes of honor that I've presented here is what's going to keep you sane through those times, through the ups and the downs. Because the funny thing about, I think probably one of the most interesting things about having an agency is the rate of feedback, right? You know, if you have an e-commerce store, you throw something up and you can find out pretty quickly whether an ad's working or whether a product's working or this or that. Whereas with an agency, as I said, you might go 5 months with it, you know, before you sign your first client. And then the next 5 months, you sign 15 clients and you're making 150K a year, or you're on a run rate for 150K a year. So as I said, you could look like an idiot for the first 5 months. Well, not really look like an idiot, but you kind of get what I'm saying. You know, things could not really go your way for the first 5 months. And then the next 5 months, you can be on top of the world. I think sometimes that really trips out people when it comes to the agency game, because it's very slow feedback, right? You only get these wins and losses are kind of come in, you know, they don't come very often, right? Because as I said, when you have an agency, you don't really need many clients. It's not like, you know, we've got a business where we need to make 100 sales a day in order for the business to stay afloat, or, you know, 20 sales a day for this, the business to stay afloat. We're in a business where, you know, to make 100K a year, you're probably going to need to sign, I don't know, maybe 12 to 15 clients per year. It's really not much. And by the way, that's 100K a year profit. So for me personally, this is something that I was always keeping in mind. And this is something that I always had in the forefront of my mind as I was growing my business from my first ever client, 380 pounds a month, all the way to $100,000 a month profit with my agency. And below this video, what you're going to find is a link to the video library, and there'll be a button that'll take you there. And that's, well, we can get into the action step in a second. But what you're going to see is basically Tristan, my creative director. I mean, Tristan probably spent a month on this thing. And this is footage from August of 2016 all the way to June of 2020. So 4 years, right? Obviously, I've been running my agency for 5 years now. So we missed out the last year. But as I said, you're going to see me all the way from 380 pound a month client all the way to $100,000 a month client. And after I signed that first client for 380 pounds, it took me 7 months to sign my second client. But from that point of signing that second client, I signed 2 more clients that week. And I was at a point where I was making 4,000 pounds a month. And within 60 days after that, I was making 10,000 pounds a month with my agency, roughly around $14,000 a month for those of you guys in the US. So, you know, the reason I want to put this in here and actually put this in assignment is because it's so important. You know, like for you, you're going, in your mind, you might be thinking of all, you know, looking at all these codes of honor and you're like, all right, this is cool. Like these are some cool philosophies or whatever, but like, how does this practically apply to me day to day? And really the reason I want to show you this is to show you, hey, here's me living these principles, me living these codes of honors for 4 years. And this is what you get when you stick to it for 4 years, right? And as I said, that's, by the way, the first 2 years of my agency was a shit show, right? I mean, we're talking no automatic billing on Stripe, no onboarding funnel, you know, the one that I'm going to give you. None of this stuff, right? It was a complete mess. So you're going to be way, way further ahead in the journey than I am. And, you know, I'm very happy to say people in, you know, who've come through agency, the older version of the program, Agency Incubator, and now Agency Navigator, as well as the people who've come through CPA, you know, they've been able to hit 100K months profit way quicker than I was able to do it in the first 4 years of my journey. So you'll be able to find this wallpaper down below. You're one client away. And, you know, this is kind of a hedonistic photo, but, you know, sometimes you just, as much as materialistic stuff doesn't matter. You know, if you told me when I was 16 years old, I'd be buying $250,000, $300,000 watches, yeah, I wouldn't have believed it. If you told me that I'd have the sort of life that I have today, and that I'd be living in the place that I'd be living today, I would tell you, yeah, I have full faith that that'll happen at 35 or maybe even 32. But at, you know, the age that I am now, you know, I'm 10 years ahead of schedule. So really, I'm not going to bore you with any of the flashy stuff in this program. But it's just a little reminder that, look, if you follow these principles, you live a very, very good life. So as I said, the action step for today is click the link below this video and it'll actually load up in the video library within the portal. And I said, this is a real life account of the dedication it took in my first 4 years of my agency to go from 0 to 100K a month profit with my agency. So ladies and gentlemen, make sure you pencil in some time, whether that be later today or tomorrow, to go ahead and watch that 4-year journey where you get to see everything. And then apart from that, make sure you download the wallpapers. I hope you guys have enjoyed this module. It's been a very, very special one to me. You know, I love sharing these timeless principles with you guys. And in the next one, we'll get back to some more tactical stuff. So I'll see you guys there.